The spread, I will tell you, the spread between a prepared practice and an unprepared one isn't just 10 or 20%. It can be literally double or triple the multiple, or no multiple at all. So here is the question: should I sell this year? Well, the real question is not if you should sell this year. It's this: how do I get to the very top of every acquirer's list so that when I'm ready, they are literally fighting over me? First and foremost, and this sounds a little old school, but it's reducing owner dependency. This does not mean you are not ultra important for your practice and your business. But what you have to ask yourself is, if you were to go on a 3-month vacation starting tomorrow, how well would your practice and your business run? Who would be in charge? Are they skilled at being a manager as well as a clinician? And as a larger practice, what does your leadership team look like? Are they aligned and focused on driving value in the business? I just went out to dinner here in Florida with a company on the East Coast, and literally they said that they go on many, many, many vacations every year. They do not worry about the performance of their business even one bit. That's real impressive. They are very close to being ready. Number 2, get your financials in order. Are doing much deeper due diligence in this environment because capital is more expensive. So your profit and loss statement needs to tell a very clear story of your business. Get your accounts receivable under control. Normalize your EBITDA. Folks, I know it makes tax sense, but if you're running a ton of personal expenses through your business, you really want to clean that up, and you want to clean it up now. Number 3, diversify your payer mix. Wait a minute, how do we do that? So if there's a large percentage of your revenues that are coming from one payer, that's a real red flag to a buyer. You really want to try to spread your risk with your payers. Consider adding some specialty services: pelvic health, vestibular, sports performance, dry needling. Broader services attract broader patient populations, and they reduce single payer dependency. And you can actually gear your marketing efforts towards those physicians that will send you patients from the payers that pay the most and that you want the most. And then number 6, get to the top of the buyer's list. How do you do that? Be able to tell the story of your practice so that it inspires the acquirer to want to become a part of your future. That's why I left this one for number 6. And this is how I really believe you get to the top of that buyer's list. Plan ahead so that you are able to give another 3 to 5 years after you partner or sell to an acquirer. Those are the businesses that will always get the highest multiple as well as the greatest financial outcome. So from a buyer or a PE, private equity perspective, what does, kind of clean and audit ready really mean, not for financial, but when it comes to payroll, HR, and compliance documentation?
Yeah, so for me, clean and audit ready means that payroll and HR and compliance all live in one system, right? When you look at what the payroll looked like, what the tax filings look like, they're going to match up. That all the records are current, certifications are in, compliance documents are actually just easy to produce. They could be pulled within minutes. And fundamentally, centralizing things like that makes diligence move a lot faster because there's less risk in the business. And I would say it helps with keeping the enterprise value higher because everything is done the right way and you're not taking on problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Easiest way to describe it is, if you're investing in your infrastructure, you are going to see a better outcome when it comes to valuation and options once partnership conversations start. So as you can tell, I love a good analogy, but it's kind of like buying a house. You know, are you going to pass off a fixer upper, or are you providing a home that's move in ready? You're going to see that number in the offer that comes your way and how many offers come your way for you to choose from.
The biggest change or issue that we've seen is compliance. And what is your compliance program? And most of the smaller companies think they have a really great compliance program, and they think they have a really great compliance manual. And then you get these bigger organizations that can't risk their whole business because they bought your business and you've got a Medicare problem. So we're really advising hire a compliance consultant, have them come in, have them observe your therapist, look at the notes, look at this, how you're scheduling patients, and make sure you are compliant, because everyone thinks they are, but I don't know, Joe. There's kind of, I don't think there's been a deal where we haven't had somebody have to tweak something.
All right, let's conclude with a conversation about the staffing shortage we have. How does that show up in your deal negotiations? And are buyers applying discounts or pushing back more than in past years if a company is struggling to recruit therapists?
I think they're looking more at the overall staffing census of a company than they had been, say, 3-4 years ago. Some of the biggest impacts are going to be, okay, what's your overall turnover looking like, and what's really that average tenure of your professional staff? Actually, not even professional staff, even your front desk personnel. There are a lot of people, and every person in those clinic locations, that they do matter. They may not all generate revenue, but they matter. So we wouldn't say discounts being applied, but there could be times where, say, you have 3-4 therapists leaving in a 2-month period, and you want to get out to market. Well, what's going to happen is your numbers are going to dip. You just lost a sizable portion, talking about, I don't know, maybe you lose 5% of your staffing with that. You just lost a sizable portion of your clinicians. Numbers will probably take a hit. It's not going to lead to an effective process, and that's where discounts can possibly be applied, where those numbers start hitting your financials 2, 3, 4 months down the line, at which point you're in a diligence process and you're trending downward. That's something that's going to lead to some delays.
The folks that I've interacted with that are fortunate enough to be on their second or third, call it, transaction of sorts, I think you'll find them that they are way more laser focused on the fit and culture side, more so than the financial, because they've had that experience to sort of learn of it.
I think the most successful founders that we work with are very collaborative in nature. And they're not only open to ideas, but just as importantly, they're bringing great ideas to the table as well. And I think where the magic happens is many of them have these great ideas and either haven't had the time or the resources to execute those ideas. And partnering with Thrive has allowed them to unlock the potential within those ideas. So when they bring great ideas to the table, collaborate with us around that, and then we can bring, whether it's capital resources, whether it's functional expertise, or any other experience to help them unlock those and really go execute those. Those are the groups that we have seen just that have had exponential growth and have really blown it out of the water with regards to their success over the multiple years they've been partners with us.
Great point. So if you look back to your successful partnerships, some of your most successful partnerships, what did those owners do, former owners do, that made them so successful with Ivy?
Attitude. Came in with the right attitude. So I talked to a lot of people about this because you're going through the transition, and I've been on both sides of the fence, and it kind of goes to this. I like to use the analogy of the difference between nostalgia and legacy. If you're coming in with a nostalgia mentality, this is the way it used to be. Corporate wants us to do this. Ivy's doing this versus, and it's enough for them. It's going to fall apart at some point. If you're coming in with a legacy mentality to say, I have gotten new information, something I didn't know before, and that's changed the way I've made my decisions. And I'm going to lead from that standpoint. So when you're driving by and it's 20 years from now and you say the 10,000 people that are getting taken care of in that clinic is because I opened the clinic and because I built that team and because I was here. That's a legacy mentality. You come in with that legacy mentality and say, I'm willing to be part of a team. I'm willing to accept some new information. I'm willing to adjust the decisions I'm going to make. Those people have gone from 4 locations to 70 locations. And that's not an exaggeration. That's a real number of how people have grown. People who have